The Stage Door Show, celebrating the independent artist. With your host, Dave Hondell.
Welcome to the Stage Door Show tonight. This is Dave Hondell. Tonight we have with us a man of many talents. He can do it all. You've seen him in many productions, including the Showtime series Submission, the award-winning film Frontera, and is starring in a very soon-to-be-released romantic comedy called Divorce Bait. So welcome Justin Berti to the show. Justin, thanks for being with us, man.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm honored.
Talking about Divorce Bait, I know it's coming out, December 9th, but you also have a Lifetime movie called Secrets in the Building coming out December 9th, too. So two on the same day. So talk about, first of all, Divorce Bait, because it sounds like a great film.
To all you new actors out there, when you have two movies coming out on the same date, you know what that means? You're not famous. That's what that means. Because if you were famous, they would never put them on the same date. So that was just something where I had no idea when Divorce Bait would come out. I had no idea when Secrets in the Building. I have two other Lifetime movies that I've already shot that could be put out tomorrow. Still don't know when they're coming out, but it just happened that December 9th, they chose to put these two movies out. Now, Divorce Bait, December 9th comes out in limited theaters, Austin, Dallas, Minneapolis, Seattle, and then Riverside, California. What I would love you to do is on December 9th, put in Divorce Bait on your smart TV, and then you can rent it. It's a fun romantic comedy that is raunchy. It's nasty, not for children. I don't know how maybe Hangover meets My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Kind of.
You already have me sold, definitely.
Kind of vibes.
Yeah.
And there's a trailer that it's the concept. I've never seen the concept done in a movie, but you're married and you have a good relationship, yet there's insecurities from one of the partners, and because of one dinner conversation about a divorce that I had with a previous wife, I went and had some fun with her friends because they came to me after the divorce. And so my wife in the movie, the talented Vanessa Vasquez, says to me, "You slept with your wife's friends?" I'm like, "That was my ex-wife." And she's like, "I wonder who would sleep with you if we got a divorce." And so she puts out on social media that we get a divorce, and that's when the dominoes start to fall.
Wow. So, doing some drama and then doing romantic comedy. I mean, as an actor, it's got to be a lot of fun to get in that space, the rom-com space, to do it once in a while. So how did you like doing a film like that?
It was an absolute blast because no director had ever given me a chance with comedy before Divorce Bait. My commercial reel is all comedy. It was so weird. I just get comedic commercial after comedic commercial, and then all the dramas, I'm either an asshole, a villain, abusive father. They're very rough parts.
Yeah.
So when I saw the submission come up for Divorce Bait on Actors Access, I actually thought it was a short film. And it was during the pandemic, right at the beginning. I'm like, you know what? I just need a scene where I'm having dinner with a wife, just talking, kind of like, I always think of it, I call it the Paul Rudd scene.
Right.
I need a Paul Rudd scene.
Yeah. Just
talking, a little humor, and like an everyday life kind of thing. I didn't know it was a feature film. Christina Nava, she is the writer, and her husband, Patrick, is the director. They both collaborated on this one. And I remember talking to her and saying, "Oh, wow. So how many days are we shooting this short film?" Like, "Oh, no, this is a feature film. And you've got the lead role." I'm like, "Oh,
wow."
That was funny in itself, but
yeah.
They were so nice and allowed me to change the script, certain words that I would feel comfortable saying rather than what they had written. So that helps an actor out tremendously. And I remember the first day that we were shooting, Patrick said to me, because I was playing it very serious. And sometimes you can play, give an example, Pulp Fiction, the scene in the diner.
Right.
Where people are the Tim Roth, the robber, they got a gun to him. That whole scene is funny about, take out my wallet. This is bad motherfucker on it. All that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
All that is so weird, but they play it. This is life or death.
Right.
So I've always been taught, just play the scene as real as you can, and the comedy will come out. But
Right.
Patrick said,
sometimes that's funnier. Yeah. Play
yeah,
series like that.
but Patrick said, dude, you got to lighten up a little bit. We are shooting a romantic comedy. So then he allowed me to be actual myself, which is very zany,
right.
And kind of loud. And I had a blast. And of course, the other actors, Joseph Nunez, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He's a comedic, like, what's the improv, famous improv in Chicago?
The Second City.
Second City.
Right.
He's been on The Office. He's shot with Denzel Washington. So many movies he's done. And he was kind of my sidekick with Greg. Let me see here. I want to get everyone's name. Greg Roman. So Greg Roman and Joseph Nunez are my two pals in this movie. And those are the funny guys. And when you're and I played like the straight man in it.
Right.
And when you're working with two guys that are hysterical, you got to have a straight guy. Otherwise, it's.
Did you ever have moments on the set where you broke character because they were so funny?
Yes, because Patrick would allow us to improv after we got most of the lines. Like, we just had one line, and he's like, and then when she leaves the room, say something. And Joe would just keep going and going. And I would add stuff, but he would make me crack up.
Now, for our listeners, our indie artists out there, when you're on the set like that and you have a director that allows you the freedom to improv or to kind of make certain things your own, as long as you don't veer off, I guess, of the storyline. I mean, that's got to be a treat as an actor to work with a director that gives you freedom like that.
Yes, it's rare, but what I tell people that are just starting out, especially if they get a student film, or we need 2 scenes for a short film. When they get the writing for the audition, I say, make a bold choice and change a word here or there, or add something. For example, when I first moved to LA in 2015, The Frontera that you mentioned was an independent film. I remember the audition had me do a eulogy for my father, and it was about 4 lines. So I added 3 lines after it and just went on and on for the director. And he said, you're the only person that added it. 1, it shows that I was thinking as that character.
Right.
And 2, allowed the director to say, oh, wow, this person has creative thoughts as well. Yeah, of course, I'm not doing this in front of Quentin Tarantino. So be bold and make some mistakes when you're in front of amateurs like yourself.
Right.
I think it's definitely worth taking the risk.
Yeah, for sure. And then you have the other one. It's called Secrets in the Building, which sounds a little more dramatic. In Lifetime, it's going to be on there the 9th as well. But talk about that project, because I know that right now Lifetime movies are huge. I mean, myself and my wife, we watch Lifetime all the time, and the movies on Lifetime. So talk about that project.
I just happened to do 6 Lifetime movies in less than 18 months.
Wow.
And it was weird. My whole life, people said, oh, you should be on soap operas, or you should be on Hallmark movies. You should be on Lifetime. I see these you're a great actor. You could do that. And I tried out for them and auditioned. And then once I got the first one, 18 months, just one after the other.
Yeah.
So Secrets in the Building, directed by Doug Campbell. My first Lifetime movie was with him in Driven to Kill. So he's used me before.
Right.
And I love working with him. He also gives me a bit of freedom, but also you have to stay in some parameters because it is Lifetime.
Right. Sure. Right.
You can't go too far out. It is a thriller, like most of the movies I've done for Lifetime. And it was, without giving too much away, it's wonderful to play that character where you don't know if I'm going to be good and you don't know if I'm going to be bad, and they're going to throw some wrenches and tricks. There's tricks up my sleeve, other people's sleeves, but you never know. And it was wonderful. Shamika Wright is my co-star, and it was wonderful working off of her because we just had some nice. I call them the Paul Rudd scenes. I wasn't being funny, but they're walking, talking. For all you actors out there that need reels, it's very important to have a scene where you're just down to earth, talking about like, oh, my father used to do this and this. What did your father do, or what did your mom do? Oh, that's great. And to make it look like you're not acting.
Right, like a normal.
It's not an action scene. It's not. It's not driving the plot somewhere.
Right.
Can you make those scenes come to life?
Another thing you mentioned, I think, is very important, that you did several in a short amount of time. And we've had a lot of Lifetime actors. Mike Markoff was on. We had John Stoddard and several other ones that were on Lifetime. And one of the things that they mentioned is that you work with. If you're easy to work with and you want to be on that list, I think Brad Pitt has a list called, work with them again list. I want to work with them again list. Always be on that list and talk about the importance of being a good person on set and being easy to work with, because you're going to work a lot if you are, right?
Yep. Doug used me twice and then gave me a direct offer for another role. It would have been my 7th Lifetime movie. But I also auditioned for the lead, and I wanted the lead. So as actors, you've got to treat your career as a business. And I don't need a detective reel right now. And when I read the script, it wasn't necessarily shouting out to me like, do this. And my hopes were for the lead role, but he offered me the detective role, which was so nice. I didn't take it because you have to look at investments. Well, if I do this for 4 or 5 days, I might not be able to get the feature role in this Christmas movie or this commercial that's coming up. And you have to roll the dice sometimes. But to add on to what you're saying is, know your lines, hit your marks, and be nice. Be fun to work with. I actually keep to myself mostly during the shoot day, and until they call us on set, then I'm talking it up and sharing some tricks of the industry and listening to what other people's advice is. But otherwise, I actually do keep to myself. Yeah.
The other thing that I noticed is you spent a lot of time in Japan. You spent a lot of years in Japan as well. And you're versatile. Not only are you an actor, but you're a model, dancer, and also Major League Baseball announcer in Japan. So how did that come? I know you played baseball at a high level at some point, but how did you get that gig, as an announcer? And I guess, how did that come about? Because as an actor and then you're an announcer, I mean, how did that happen?
So basically, I moved to Japan to teach English for a year. And very long story, making it very short. I thought I would go for 1 year, teach English, save enough money, come back to New York City, and then continue pursuing modeling and acting. My modeling agency in New York gave me a list of agencies in Japan. So I taught English for a year and a half, extended my visa, and then said, okay, let me just see how the modeling works out. After I got my first call to play an extra running in the park, in some famous Japanese television show at the time, the phone never stopped ringing. So it was a lot of commercial work, dancing, modeling, narration, voiceover. I basically did everything under the sun you can imagine, except for pornography in Japan.
Yeah.
Everything under the sun.
Sure.
But how did I get the gig of being a Major League Baseball announcer? That was simple. I know the rules of baseball because I'm a baseball player.
Yeah.
And I have a voice. So my voice, one of the agencies I was with, I was a freelance talent. So I was with multiple agencies. One of the agencies specifically focused on voiceover work. And she just happened to email me and say, have you ever done announcing? I'm like, oh my God, since I was a child, my father and I would pretend to be Bob Shepard, the New York Yankees.
Oh yeah, right.
Welcome the Yankees. We used to think that this would make it echo.
Make it sound better. Yeah.
Derek Jeter. So I've always been practicing that.
Yeah.
So I said to her, I can definitely do it. And I know the rules. I'm a player. So then we have to have a meeting at a restaurant with the Tokyo Dome sound system guy, the head of the announcing, the PA, everything. And right there, we're having some appetizers. He says, well, give me an example of someone coming up to bat. So I do Ichiro Suzuki. And like one time he's like, you got the job.
Oh, wow.
So, and
That's
that was I remember sitting in the stands watching a batting practice as we were, they wanted to hear my voice. And we were practicing, watch out for foul balls. The rules are different in Japan. Like every foul ball, I have to say, please watch out for foul balls. Could you imagine in America?
Right.
And every foul ball, you'd hear that. But I remember nudging her and I said, don't tell them, but I would do this for free because I just absolutely loved watching the game and announcing it. And I first started as the World Baseball, WBC, World Baseball Classic announcer.
Oh, wow.
So they needed someone to speak English because all the teams from Taiwan, Chinese Taipei, China, Korea, and Japan, that's the round I would do. But they needed an English speaker as the common language.
Yeah.
And the way I would say certain Japanese names, they loved it. Right. So then they used me for when Major League Baseball came for the preseason games.
Okay.
So that was just a blast.
Oh, I'm sure.
Absolute blast.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, just to have the versatility that you have, I mean, it's amazing. So what was your what was your most favorite, I guess, experience in just being in entertainment or, anything that you've done? What's your best memory?
I was asked this question recently during Thanksgiving. What roles did you do that you were fully immersed in?
Yeah.
And you just go, I gave everything to this role. What people have to understand is, because I heard you ask that question to other actors on your podcast, I go, oh my God, how am I going to answer this? Because you don't understand. People don't understand. I've done so much,
right?
And it's not, you don't know me. I'm not famous, but 12 years in Japan, you know how many commercials and how many events and photo shoots? A lot.
Sure, right.
And then I come here. You know how many commercials and photo shoots and movies?
Yeah.
I've done a lot.
Right.
But the two that stuck out, and it's so interesting, and I think a lot of actors would agree with me. I played Ricky Roma and Glengarry Glen Ross in Japan.
Oh, wow.
Okay?
Wow.
If you guys know Glengarry Glen Ross, that's a difficult script to do live. It's ... You've got to know that person's line. You've got to come up with two words that make sense for that line while they cut you off.
Right.
Bang, 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 bang.
Right.
Al Pacino played that role in the movie. I love you, Al Pacino. You are great, but it's so easy to do that in a movie.
Yeah.
So easy.
They cut and redo it.
Cut and redo it. Not even that. The first line of Ricky Roma in the play is, all train compartments smell vaguely of shit. It gets to the point where you don't even notice. That is a mid-thought.
Wow. Yeah.
The lights come up and you have to start in mid-thought. In the movie, it's raining. He comes in with his trench coat. Oh, it's raining a lot, isn't it? What are you drinking? And that's the beginning of a scene. It makes sense.
Right.
I do that for free. Community theater, my mom, my father, no one sees it. I finished 3 nights of doing that role and just I felt it. We nailed it. Walking home to the subway by myself and start crying. Like I did it. I gave myself to that role, and I know I'm good enough to do this professionally.
Right.
And then the second time was playing a real live. Man, I feel terrible for it. Masood. I know his name. An Afghan national hero. Masood. His nickname was the Lion of Panjshir, and I don't know his last name, but it was a play made about the conflict between Russia and America over Afghanistan. It was put on by the Afghan embassy in Japan. The ambassador had lived and fought with this man,
Yeah.
and I was playing the ambassador.
Wow.
Oh, excuse me. I was playing the Masood.
Wow.
So I'm Italian and Spanish, and I'm playing an Afghan national hero.
Wow.
We have American heroes that people argue about now.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
This person is shit. This person's not. You know what America's like now.
Right. For sure.
You don't argue about Masood in Afghan. That's like,
yeah.
praise him.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm playing him, doing an accent, and I have ambassadors from Serbia and all this saying, I've always wanted to meet Masood. You're the closest thing I'm ever going to get to meeting this man. And when the curtain went down and I hugged the ambassador, I'm bawling my house. I'm like, wow, you played a living person that you hope you gave.
Right.
You gave him the respect that he deserved.
Wow. That's amazing.
Oh, sorry. And I wasn't paid for that. So this is what I think most actors will realize is that the jobs you get paid most for, my Chase national commercial that's airing now.
Yeah.
I looked like a Latino father.
Mm-hmm.
I could do yoga and I got the part. And thank you, Chase, and thank you, Cassie, for hiring me.
Right.
But did that soothe my soul as a creative artist? No.
Yeah.
Those two things that were free did.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. That's important to remember. A lot of people that listen are community theater, regional theater artists. Of course, like you said, don't get paid, and some of the greatest work when I was in my music videos, I didn't get paid for. But, it was so satisfying, just to see the final product. And so I think that's the most important thing is, just be satisfied with what you're doing. If you satisfy your soul for what you're doing, then there's no amount of money that can really take care of that. What's your biggest advice? I mean, what's your most important advice that you would have for somebody that's in the arts, no matter what they do and no matter what genre they're in? What would your biggest advice be? Okay,
so doing it as a career, so you're thinking of doing it as a career, so treat it as a career. You won't hear me say the backstory of my character. You won't hear me say my craft and all this. You hear me say, what roles do you think I can play? I'm going to take a headshot with my iPhone in portrait mode and do it right here or in the backyard and get them done for free. I'm not going to wait. Oh, I got to ask this friend. I got to ask this actor friend. Who's the right headshot? I'm going to ask my agent. Stop waiting for other people's invitation to start your career. Get the headshots that you need to get done for the roles you think fit you. Once you do that, well, I don't have a reel. You get a plain background, you find a monologue for the characters that you think you can play, and you put yourself on tape for that monologue. You put it on Actors Access, put it on casting networks. You have to spend money to make money. And then hopefully you get the audition. Once you get some auditions, and if you think the audition's good enough, you take that audition and you put it on Actors Access and casting networks so they can see you read with somebody and it's not just a monologue. Then you get that student film. Then you get that industrial. And now you have real footage and you put it on there. I don't understand why people think this industry is extremely hard, but to start, it's not. You have a computer as your phone now. There's no excuses for headshot. All my headshots I've taken myself with a timer. Phones are amazing what they can do right now in portrait mode, and they look amazing. I've seen your shots. They're awesome. Thank you. Treat it as a business. Treat it as a business. And also, what are your thoughts on having, finding an agent and finding a manager? I mean, if you're an indie artist, and a lot of people can get their own work, but obviously, is it something that is 100% needed when you first start out to have an agent, to have a manager? Or like you said, I mean, is it possible just to get work on your own and then build up to that point? No. So I always claim to be the best person to talk to if you're starting out. I've always done that. I have a girlfriend right now that, I've been coaching her now for 3 years. And at first she was a little stubborn with my advice, but now she goes, well, why do you have 260 auditions this year? 260 auditions. Yeah. If you think agents are the way, which they're not, focus on a commercial agent. Again, treat it like a business, people. Why? Because commercials pay the bills. Theater is to hone the skills, that pays you zero.
Yeah.
And movies and TV for all the thrills. Okay. Get the commercial agent and get paid so you can stay living in this city.
Right. Exactly.
And then do the rest that I said. Like on my IMDb is basically 2 credits that my agent got me. I have an incredible commercial agent. Okay. Incredible. She used to be my theatrical agent as well, but she has to focus only on commercials now. So that gets me the Lifetime. It gets me Submission, Showtime. I did that all by myself. Fronteras, all by myself. All of them except for 2 titles are all by myself. Now there is a limit. Trust me, I don't want to stay at the Lifetime level. Divorce Bait, I got myself. And it's because I had the headshot and the reels to back up what they were looking for, and then a powerful or a strong audition. So don't fall into this myth that you need an agent to make it or to start off. You don't. If anything, just focus on getting a commercial agent at first.
That's great advice. Definitely great advice. The other thing is everybody wants to leave a legacy behind. What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? What do you want people to think of when they think of your name?
When they think of my name, I would love fellow actors, if they watch me, just go, God, it doesn't even look like he's acting. That's the legacy I want to leave. And from fans, they usually say it from my post or seeing my family or kids. It's like, I usually get, you should do more comedies. You're such a bright, fun person. If I could just have that as how people remember me, a fun, bright person, that would be incredible. But most important is when I watch Yellowstone or The Office or The Offering, what other shows have I been, or just a movie, and I go, I can't tell if they're acting or not. That's what I would love people to say when they see my stuff.
That's awesome. That's effortless. I mean, that's great legacy. Justin, I know you have a couple things coming out, but I've seen your work, and it's amazing work, and I can't wait to see these 2 films coming out. I'm definitely going to share them on our websites. And
thank you.
Yeah,
thank you
definitely. So Justin, best of luck to you, and again, keep up the great work, and can't wait to have you on again at some point.
Thank you so much, Dave. I really appreciate this.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Stage Door Show tonight. Please support Gary Maselli, who did our intro for Season 2. Go to Instagram.com/Gary Maselli, GaryMiceli.